Hey, welcome back to the Sales Performance Insights podcast. This is the podcast where we cut through the noise and talk about what really works in sales. I'm Frank Gustafson, and today we're tackling one of the biggest traps in our profession, the endless pitch. We've all been there. You're in front of a prospect. You've got your product. You've got your slide deck. You've got your talking points all lined up. And before you know it, you're doing all the talking. You're working hard to convince them to buy, but here's the problem. The more you pitch, the more they pull back. The truth is, selling is not about pitching, it's about asking. And great salespeople don't have the best presentations, they ask the best questions. And that's what we're going to talk about and dig into today. So, the problem with pitching. Why do salespeople pitch so much? Honestly, it comes down to fear. It's a fear that if we don't say enough, the prospect won't see the value. It's a fear that silence means disinterest. It's a fear that the only way to win is talk them into it. But here's what's really happening when we pitch. We're making about us, our product, our features, our agenda. Meanwhile, the prospect is sitting across from us thinking about their own world, about their problems, about their goals, about the pressures that they're under. And if your pitch doesn't connect to that, you're just adding noise. Pitching is about you, and questions are about them. And people don't buy because you want them to. They buy because something matters deeply to them, and they believe that you understand it. Ultimately, questions build trust. I want you to think about your best friend. When you're struggling, do they launch into a 20-minute slide presentation about why you should cheer up? No, they listen. They ask questions. They help you feel understood. Well, sales is exactly the same things. Prospects don't trust the one who talks the most. They trust the one who understands them the best. When you ask questions like, hey, what's frustrating you most about your current process? And then you truly listen, you're saying, hey, you matter, your world matters, and that builds trust. And trust ultimately is the currency of sales. Believe it or not, there's science behind this, and it's powerful science, and it's this. People don't believe what you tell them, they believe what they tell themselves. And if you say, our software will save you 20% in costs, they'll probably nod and politely doubt you. But what if I say, where are your rising costs hitting you hardest? And you say, labor is killing us. You own that truth. And if I follow up with, hey, what would it mean if your labor costs drop by 20%? Now, they're the ones that are connecting the dots. And when you help them to connect those dots, they begin selling themselves. And that's the power of great questions. They turn persuasion into self-discovery. And when a prospect convinces themselves, the decision feels like it's theirs, not yours. There's different levels of questions, and not all questions are equal. So let me break that down. Think about surface level questions. These are simple. They're fact-based questions. How many sales reps do you have? Necessary, maybe, but shallow. Then there's probing questions. These are the questions that uncover the prospect's challenges. Hey, where's your team losing the most time? Now we're learning. And then finally, there's impact questions, and those hit the heart. Questions like, hey, what happens if you don't fix this in the next 6 months? Or how does this problem impact your team? And then how does it impact you or affect you personally? Most salespeople never leave the surface, but the best salespeople live in the impact zone. And here's the secret sauce. After asking, pause. Let the silence do the work. Silence feels awkward at first, but it gives your prospects safe space to be honest. And often they'll share something that they weren't planning on sharing. And that's where real conversations begin. Empathy in this situation is the slight edge. And ultimately, sales has a bad rap because too many treat selling like a transaction. But real sales is about empathy. When I ask, where do you feel the most pressure right now? Or what would make your job easier and more rewarding? And then I listen, I really listen. I'm showing that I care more about them than my quota. And sometimes the answer to those questions has nothing to do with what I sell. And sometimes the best move is to say, hey, I might not be the right fit for that problem, but let me introduce you to someone who can help you. And the funny thing is that honesty often wins more long-term business than that's simply forcing a square peg into a round hole. Empathy builds trust, and trust builds revenue. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I walked into a meeting with a business owner, and I had this beautiful presentation ready. But instead of launching into this presentation, I asked one question. What's the one thing you're most frustrated about with your sales team right now? He leaned back and he sighed and he said, they just can't seem to close anything without discounting, and it's killing our margin. That one answer turned into an hour-long conversation, and we never even came close to opening my big, beautiful slide deck. I just kept asking questions and peeling back the layers. And by the end of our conversation, he said, hey, I don't know exactly what you do, but I think we need you. And that client stuck with me for several years, not because of my pitch, but because of my questions. So here's the big takeaway. Selling is not about convincing people to buy. It's about helping them discover what really matters and then guiding them to their own decisions. Your pitch won't do that, but your questions will. So next time you're in a sales conversation, resist the urge to talk. Get curious, ask questions, and then listen, because people don't want to be sold. They want to be understood. Hey, thanks for joining me on today's episode of the Sales Performance Insights podcast. If this resonated with you, share it with your team, share it with a fellow sales leader, someone that you care about. And if you're ready to help your team master the art of asking great questions, let's connect. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Hey, see you again soon. And remember, no one ever got fired for improving sales performance.